Hello you guys, and welcome back to the 1 in a Million channel. My name is Eunice Chan, and for those of you who are new to my channel, we talk all about self-development, self-expression here. So you guys are in for a great treat today because we are talking about the 5 activating questions that you can ask yourself if you want to align yourself closer to your manifestations, and you can align yourself instantly. I want to tell you, these 5 questions are so powerful that when I intentionally integrated them into my life, I saw a noticeable change in the way that I manifested. I saw a noticeable change in how I felt about myself, and I also really started seeing myself as a co-creator with the universe, and I really started to become a lot more open and receptive to whatever that was coming to me. And so I'm going to give you those 5 questions, but I'm also going to explain why they work so well, and so you can kind of really see how you want to integrate them into your life as much as possible. The truth is, we ask ourselves questions all day, every day. When we talk to ourselves, when we doubt ourselves, when we ask why are things the way they are, when we're protesting, when we are asking ourselves what can I do? What could I possibly do in this situation? Why is this person treating me this way? Why can't people just be better? I've noticed that the way we ask questions single-handedly define how and what we receive. The way we ask questions define how and what we receive. This is powerful. Can you imagine how revolutionary it was for me when I started to look into and examine and paying attention to the questions that I was asking myself? And I started realizing how disempowering they were, and how I was actually setting myself up for failure, how I was setting myself up for disappointment, just by the way I was asking myself the questions. And so now, if I were to look at a person's mind, if I was looking into your mind, and I were able to read all the questions that you asked to yourself, I can pretty much make out how your life looks like. I can pretty much have a concept of how your life is going to unfold based on the questions that you're asking and how you're asking them. 9 out of 10 times when we ask questions, especially in the way that we ask them very automatically, a lot of times it sends us in the opposite direction of what we actually want. Have you ever caught yourself asking, why can't this person just behave? Why can't they just listen to me? Why can't they just do this? Why don't I have it yet? How come this person has it before I do? Why am I so miserable in my life? And even though these questions sound like questions, what they actually are is a form of protest. What they actually are is a call of helplessness. It's an exclamation of helplessness, feeling like I am so out of my power. What is happening to me? What is wrong with me? Now, when we start to ask questions in a very assumptive way, assuming that things are not going right, assuming that we're not being delivered what we want, assuming that we're not going the right path, assuming that we will never get what we want, assuming that there's inherently something wrong with us, and assuming that things are working against us, what starts to happen is that we clench our energy just by asking the question. So it doesn't matter what kind of answer you receive. Whatever answer you receive is going to be a reflection of the energy of the question that you're asking. What I found is that our desires exist on a whole different spectrum, a whole different level of energy. Our desires exist in an energy of openness, of free-flowing, of playfulness, of joy, of activation, of excitement, of the energy of things are going my way. And so when we are in the clenched energy, when we are closing ourselves up, when we are asking questions, carrying a lot of tension and expecting answers with a lot of tension, it's how can we possibly activate our desires in the energy of the questions that we're asking? It's absolutely impossible. It is impossible because the energy where you ask the question is the answer that you're going to get. So unless you want to prove yourself right and be right about not having the things that you want, don't ask those questions. Don't clench up your energy. Don't close yourself up. Instead, what we want to do is that we want to slowly ease ourselves open, not just by forcing ourselves to change our thoughts, not just by, practice positive thinking, but we want to intentionally change the way we ask questions so that we hold a container for a different kind of energy. We hold the container, essentially the questions that we ask are kind of containers, and we hold the possibility of a higher level of vibration coming into our body. Questions that provide more clarity, questions that provide more healing, questions that help us center ourselves more, questions that invite more trust and stability and helps us soothe our nervous system. Questions that that open us up more energetically so that we can receive on a higher frequency. So this is so powerful because we don't want to stay in the same powerless position and ask questions that invite more powerlessness. So we're no longer protesting, we're no longer complaining why things are the way they are, but instead now we're becoming a collaborative element of the universe. It's finally like, okay, I'm ready to ask the right questions. I'm ready to open myself up. I'm listening and I'm ready to hold the right frequency. So here are the 5 questions that you can start asking yourself, and I encourage you to start integrating them into your life so that you can make it a habit that this is the way that you will talk to yourself from now on. So question number 1 is, what does my higher self want me to know? And what you're essentially doing is you're putting yourself in a place where you have walked through the situation already. You are looking back at your life with the wisdom, with the compassion, with the love for yourself, with the knowledge that you have gone through it all. And essentially, you're opening yourself up for more wisdom, like a broader perspective of what is it that I need to see that I'm not really seeing right now? Like, what lessons are there? What is it that I need to shift? And you're no longer and you're taking yourself out of your current reality, your current attitude, your current mentality, your current mindset, and you're starting to see things in hindsight, from a position that you've gone through it already. And so this is amazing when you ask your higher self for advice, for guidance, because that is what it's here to serve you, is to show you and give you guidance and comfort and reassurance that you can go through it all. So by tapping into your higher self and listening to its perspective, you will find out a lot of things that you want to know that you don't already know right now. And so this is the time to really pay attention. I love this following question because it always serves to help me find more of the confirmations that I am seeing in my life, that my manifestations are happening. So the second question is, what are some signs in my life that confirm my manifestations are already coming? Now, this is different for everyone, but I also want to put a level up to this question as well. Is what are some signs that I have completely overlooked? Now, the second part of this question is so powerful because not only are you starting to pay attention to, what are the signs that have been happening that you have already been seeing, right? You're starting to recount the signs, even though you kind of know them already. But when you ask yourself, what have I overlooked? It's like the things that you have not already identified them as signs. Now you see them. Now you pay attention to them. Now you can identify them. And it's almost like this shift, like you're opening yourself up to seeing the entire range of signs and confirmations that are already in your life, but you probably just haven't looked so hard. You probably haven't paid that much attention to. So when you can assume that, okay, maybe some things slipped my attention. Maybe some things have showed up and I just haven't completely noticed. This is the time where you can start counting every single thing and start just collecting all the confirmations and see for yourself that it is indeed happening. This is one of the quickest way to fall into alignment. So the third question is asking yourself, what do I need to prioritize myself more? And what do I need to do to put my happiness first? And this is a question that is kind of a bit hard for someone to ask. If you have not made it a habit to put your happiness first, if you have not made it a habit to prioritize yourself, to make yourself the most important person in your life, maybe you have always put other people first, right? Maybe you have been taught to think about other people's feelings before yourself. Maybe you have been told that you are selfish to even think about putting yourself first. But I believe, this is my belief about manifestation. It's that manifestation is really a result of tuning into what you desire. It is all about tuning into what you want. It is saying yes to all your desires. So that also means that saying no to what you don't want. If you have been, doing things for other people just because you want to keep the peace, just because you want to be polite, just because you don't want other people to be upset with you, just because you don't want them to leave you, just because you don't want to create another argument, right? Then you are not putting yourself first. So manifesting your desires, it's all about putting yourself first. Because imagine this, if you keep saying yes to what you don't want, well, what can you really expect to come into your life, right? If you keep having a standard for allowing all the no's to exist in your life, allowing all the things that you don't want in your life, what can you really expect to manifest if you have such a high tolerance of the things that you don't want? You're going to keep manifesting what you don't want. So the universe is fair. It's going to keep knocking on your door until you say yes to the things that light you up, until you say yes to the things that excite you, until you say yes to the things that give you energy. Practice saying yes to yourself, saying yes to giving yourself the things that you want, whether if it's time, whether if it's attention, whether if it's self-love, whether if it's the food that you want to eat. Start practicing making yourself a priority. So I love this following question because it always feels like there's something that wants to reveal itself to me. So I want you to ask yourself, what is the next best feeling I can tap into right now? It doesn't matter where you are on the emotional spectrum. It doesn't matter what is your relationship with yourself. You can always ask this question and it will always be applicable. You can always ask yourself, what is the next best feeling that you can tap into right now based on where you are, right? So there are two purposes to asking this question. First of all, is you become of what you're feeling, because then you have to identify what you're experiencing right now, where you are right now, in order to figure out, well, what is the next best feeling I want to feel? What is the next level up? Now, a lot of times people want to feel good. They want to feel amazing. They want to be on the opposite end of the spectrum. When they find themselves on really quite far on the lower end, they want to be over here. But sometimes it actually feels really, really hard and straining to have to take multiple steps up. So what do we want to do? We want to just take one step. This is why this question is so powerful, because just by asking this, it will reveal what is that one step for you. What is that one next feeling for you? Just by asking this question, even if you were to move the tiniest step, an inch upwards or half an inch upwards or 1 millimeter upwards, you are still moving a step up. And that is what the step is for you. This is why I love this question so much. The next one is, what would it feel like to receive my manifestation? What would it feel like in my body? Where would I feel it in my body to receive this manifestation? Now, I believe behind every successful manifestation, behind you holding every desire, is a feeling of the satisfaction in your body. It's a feeling of just coming home to who you are. This feeling of fulfillment. Yes, this is what I'm here to do. This feels so fun. This feels so fulfilling. This feels so expansive. This is who I really am, and I am holding it in my hands. What would it feel like to live your dream desired lifestyle? And I'm not just talking about like the superficial stuff, like buying the things you want, being able to treat your family, having abundance of wealth or being able to travel. I'm talking about like, what is that feeling you will feel in your body down to the core of who you are as a person, as an individual, as a soul. This is about the relationship you have with yourself, the sense of fulfillment of your identity, who you're here on the planet to be. This question is so powerful. It's so activating. Every single time I ask it, it feels like I suddenly remember what I'm here to do and who I am. And all the things that I bicker about in life, it suddenly like doesn't matter anymore. And so I believe that this question really helps me to open up and hold space for that feeling. It helps me open up my heart to make space for that sense of fulfillment. It helps me experience that fulfillment of my identity. And so tap into it, go into this feeling whenever you're relaxed, whenever you're not stressed out, whenever you're daydreaming. So make space for this feeling in your body and just be in that feeling. So I hope this video helps you feel all kinds of activated. It's really more of integrating these questions into your lifestyle so that it becomes automatic for you to ask the empowering question, to choose the empowering dialogue, to hold the space for the what if it was possible. In your heart, in your body, in your nervous system, so that reaching for the expansiveness and the openness becomes your natural default. If you feel like these questions help you gain more clarity, helps you feel more aligned, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know that. I would love to celebrate with you. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me some love, give me a like in the video, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. With that said, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.